In the meantime, we have Slava here from Indiegogo. How many of you have actually ran a Indiegogo campaign or Kickstarter? All right, did you get it funded? Anybody else? So the young lady who asked the question about diversity, interesting stat, 47% of funded campaigns are by women, so it's pretty equal. So they have also just launched equity crowdfunding that started, I think, on Monday. Anyway, so warm welcome to Slava, founder of Indiegogo. Okay, cool, man.
All right. Hello, hello. You guys hear me okay? Yeah, I didn't get to see how many hands were raised, so how many have used Indiegogo to fund or to raise? All right, good, good. Definitely got some people in the audience. So we're not going to talk about Indiegogo, really. We're going to talk about this thing doesn't fit on my ear very well, but we're going to talk about the 10 myths of entrepreneurship. So I've been working at Indiegogo since the beginning, and I was coming up with the idea in 2006. Do I have a clock anywhere? No? Anybody? I guess not. Just, my 20 minutes. Yes, perfect. And so it's been like almost 10 years. We launched in January 2008, so I've seen a lot of entrepreneurial experience on myself. I've also been an angel investor, advisor to a bunch of companies, and probably the best experience is actually we have nearly 500,000 projects that have been on Indiegogo. Great, awesome. So we get to work with a lot of them and advise them, hear their experiences. So I'm going to give you some themes. How many of you actually want to be an entrepreneur? Raise your hand. How many of you already consider yourself, I am an entrepreneur already? Great. And how many of you are beyond like 12 months into entrepreneurship? Great, smaller subset. All right, well, this should be good for most of you. And if you've been already doing all this stuff for as long as I have, you can just come up and you'll share some of your thoughts. The idea is that when we were younger, we actually had to touch the kettle. See, when you were 2, 3, 4, 5, 10, your mother said the kettle is hot. Don't touch the kettle. But you know what? Most of the time you touch the kettle. And then you're like, oh, it was hot. So you learned, and you didn't do it again. And when you were young, if you wanted to wear a dress, you wore a dress. And then somebody told you, you maybe should wear pants instead because you're a boy. But you wore a dress because there were no limitations, right? You actually didn't know the macro social contract of what was right and what was wrong. The only thing that was in your mind is, I can do whatever I want because I'm new to this world and I have no idea what's right or what's wrong. But for some reason, as we get older, we start going through school and we start to get this sense of we're not doing it correctly. We're not actually doing it the way the other people told us we should do it. And we start to touch the kettle less. We start to say, you know what? Those other people already told me that's a bad idea, so I'm not going to do it. Or my whole way of doing this is wrong because these 5 people have already told me it's not going to work. But see, your 5-year-old self would not listen to that. Your 5-year-old self would still try that. And you know what? You might learn that what they said was totally right, just like your mother. Or you might learn that they were wrong. They were just 5 people that had experiences, and your experience is different. So we go through school, and I think that we actually not only do not get creativity, entrepreneurship, and willingness to failure is endorsed, it's actually beaten right out of us. If we don't get A's, if we don't succeed correctly, if we don't follow the exact right formula as to what it means to graduate college and get one of your 5 typical jobs, finance, legal, teacher, medical, whatever, then you have not succeeded. Because entrepreneurship, let's face it, there's no Lego character, which is entrepreneur character. There's fire person, there's doctor, there's no entrepreneur character. So I'm here to talk about my experiences and the experiences I've had with all these other entrepreneurs to help you understand just a few of our thoughts as to what are 10 myths of entrepreneurship. These are not true as fact. These are just what I've experienced. Number 1, it's all about the idea. So many people will say, I want to be an entrepreneur, but I don't have a great idea. That is garbage. Total garbage. I mean, honestly, Starbucks, I'm going to charge 10 times the price for a cup of coffee. It doesn't sound like a wonderful idea. Ideas are like a dime a dozen. Chances are, whatever bright idea you think you have, there's 10 people in America doing the same exact thing as you. And there's 100 people now globally. So your idea is kind of meaningless. What matters is the 99.9% of execution behind it. So when somebody says, I don't have a good idea, say, yes, so what? Number 2, go after only the biggest markets. The classic syndrome, the 1% of China syndrome. I'm going to go after a massive market like China, and if I just get 1%, I will make a lot of money. But actually what tends to happen is you get 0%, because big market does not create big result. Getting 100% of Luxembourg, which is tiny, would actually be great compared to 0% of China. Often what happens is if you get 100% of Luxembourg, actually Belgium's going to say hello. And Germany is going to start checking out what's going on over there. Because people will start saying, whoa, that's interesting. Having a focus on whatever it is really valuable, independent of what the actual market size is, according to whatever TAM discussions there are, total addressable market, for whatever VC comes to you. Sorry, Sarah, if you're still here. So, number 3, you need lots of money. Total garbage. The average small business in America will spend $8,000. Facebook started with $21,000. You do not need a lot of money to start your idea. Saying that I do not have enough money is another excuse, like I don't have a good idea. You're basically just trying to come up with reasons to not be willing to take on the challenge. On Indiegogo, you could totally raise a bunch of money. That's my only plug. But it's not about having lots of money. It's about executing and actually moving forward, learning, getting information from what you're actually doing and moving forward. You need a business plan. Okay. If this was 1988, you need a business plan. It's 2016. In my opinion, business plans should be in the library. When was the last time you actually went into a physical library? Probably not long ago. But the way these libraries work is they're broken into types of reading. So there's like nonfiction and fiction. There's an area called science fiction. Good business plans should be in science fiction. It's just like quality literature. If you write a good business plan, you should go to Hollywood. 2016, you need to actually do stuff. Like coming up to a VC or whoever and saying, I have this great idea about this app that's going to be whatever. They're going to be like, great, why don't you launch the app for $5 and figure this out with your friend who's a co-founder, and the two of you will see if you could get like 500,000 downloads in like 3 months, right? Exactly. Now, do you need like a plan, like a one-pager, a short email, a concise, here's my market, here's what I'm going after, here's my message, here's how I'm going to see if I'm doing well? Sure, but that's like 3 paragraphs, 5 paragraphs. It's like 500 words max, and that's like a lot. Often you'll hear this. I don't have the great marketing team or the right PR team. Total garbage. If you're thinking about marketing and PR before you've even launched, you're a terrible entrepreneur. The only thing you should think about is product. Do you have a product that customers will use? And even better, will they pay for it? So number 1, be product focused. Number 2, be customer focused. Then you can start thinking about marketing. Because a good product will market itself. Because people will be like, this is pretty awesome. Just think about it. Good movies don't need a lot of budget for marketing. Bad movies need a lot of marketing, so you'll be forced to go see it. Good movies, all of a sudden, just keep on going, right? Hire people like you. So you're an engineer from wherever, you're a quality marketing person from whatever, you're Hispanic, you're tall, you're short, you're fat, you're whatever, it doesn't matter. Like, people like me will be good, we'll be like able to think together, we'll be on the same page. That is the worst thing you can do. What you need is a diverse set of thinkers that will question each other. My 2 co-founders and I could not be any more different between the 3 of us. But it was good because it created a diverse set of thought. Yes, there were challenges and lots of debates and discussions, but as we hired, that was one of the tenets of making sure that we embrace authenticity, who people are, that they should be fearless with what they talk about, they should be collaborators, and they empower. So our values are face. But it's truly important to have people that will not just fall in line with you, have yes men or yes women or whatever. You need people to challenge each other, and hopefully that's from diverse backgrounds, from diverse viewpoints, all that good stuff, diverse educations. I just hinted at this. Values don't matter until you actually get somewhere with your business. Like maybe when you have 20 employees, you should start thinking about values. You should be thinking about values before you hire anybody. Day one, when you start talking to your co-founder or talk to yourself because you're a solo founder, like when you're talking to yourself, you're creating values. You just don't know it. And the best way to get a permanent solution is to have a temporary solution. So while you think you're not actually working on values yet, because that's not important when you have no revenue and barely have one download, you're in the process already creating your values. I'm not telling you what values they should be. I'm just telling you that know that you're embracing them and creating them immediately. And it'll help drive your business forward if you allow it to. That's actually my co-founder's son. So this one's pretty well known, but being an entrepreneur has its ups and downs. Sometimes it's very exciting when you get that TechCrunch announcement. Sometimes it sucks when you find out that the bank will no longer be your bank, right? It has its ups and downs. And people think that, the path towards making a huge exit, being able to be CEO and having power, being able to be speaking up here, being able to be famous, being retweeted or whatever, lots of followers, that will drive you forward because that is enough to get through the downtimes. Couldn't be any more true. See, if you want to become rich, don't become an entrepreneur. Just go become like employee 50 or 100 at some skyrocketing company. Your likelihood is much higher. If you want to be famous, go try out for like American Idol. I'm sure you'll have much higher odds. And the last thing you'll have is power. Once you start entering into entrepreneurship, you're a sucker to your employees, you're a sucker to your VCs, you're a sucker to your customers, you're a sucker to everybody. You're the person in the least amount of power. The only thing that will get you through the downtimes is passion, is the feeling that the world needs something and I will make it. The world has a problem, whatever it is, and I will solve it. That is exciting. When you have a downtime and you're like, I'm still working on this really important problem, that drives you through those problem times. I'm telling you, I went through all that. Like, I went through the market crash. We came out with the idea in 2008, pre anybody else, pre the word crowdfunding. When the worst market crash since 1929 happens, it's not the idea of fame that drives us forward. It's the idea that access to capital should be democratized, and that gatekeepers should not be able to decide whether common people should be able to raise money or invest or give money. All of you probably have similar concepts. If not, if this is one of your end results, I highly recommend you go towards a different path. Not because you can't be a good entrepreneur, but because you will hit down times, and it'll be easier to exit to go to one of these things for somebody else. Number 9. Entrepreneurship is linear. We're taught about MVP, A/B test, all these different things. Keep moving forward. I believe in all that. That's fine. But I actually believe that entrepreneurship is quite parallel, which is we're going to get a little philosophical here. We're close to our close. How many of you have seen Inception, the movie? A good amount. If you haven't, I'm about to talk about a little bit of it. I'm not really giving it away. But in Inception, there is the real world. Then there is the dream world. Then there is the meta-dream world. Let's throw away the meta-dream world. The only difference between the real world and the dream world, and if you don't want the spoiler, it's not a big deal, just close your ears, it's just that there's a top that spins. And in the real world, there's gravity, so it does not spin anymore. So in my opinion, being an entrepreneur is precisely the same. See, we have our dream world. which is our mind. In our mind, we have already navigated all kinds of dreams of what we expect, our future, and everything that we're going to accomplish with our entrepreneurship. And then there's the real world, one layer abstracted away. The real world is the world we live in right now, unless this is some other metaphysical abstraction. But we live in this real world. Here, the top will have gravity, and it will fall. Gravity is a metaphor. See, navigating entrepreneurship is going from your dream world in your mind to actually implementing in the real world through the limitations of gravity, your speech, who you know, what you know, how you can do things, how much money you have. These are all just limitations of transcending from the dream world to the real world. Lots of people would say, like Steve Jobs, his distortion field. We all have a distortion field. It's just a matter of how big or strong it is. You navigate from the dream world to the real world. See, bad entrepreneurs, they'll say, he's a bad entrepreneur. She's a bad entrepreneur. They failed at whatever they wanted to do. I actually think they probably had a beautiful dream, a beautiful plan, a beautiful idea. They just didn't transcend the limitations of gravity of the real world, as well as some others. And some people have done it great. And we say they're incredible entrepreneurs. I think they have the same capabilities. They've just navigated their resources and their limitations of gravity. Again, speech, their teammates, access to money, all these things in a better way. Take that for what it's worth. So then, the 10th one, my final one, which is your mother will never understand what you do. Yes, that is my mother. So I had a very good job for 8 years. I was overpaid at too young of an age, had good health insurance and all that good stuff. And then I decided to become an entrepreneur with my two co-founders. I became full-time Indiegogo on January 1st, 2008. I told my mom, yes, I quit my previous job, and now I'm full-time Indiegogo. And she proceeded, her first point was, do they offer good health insurance? And I said, yes, mother, they offer good health insurance. Which, by the way, I had no health insurance. As a matter of fact, I didn't even have any at all for a few years, which you should not follow. But the market crashed in 2008, moved forward, late 2009. My mom's like, is this thing working that you're doing? I'm like, yeah, it's going well. She's like, why don't you just go back to your previous job or becoming an insurance salesman like next door to me? Just, something normal. And I said, oh no, it's all going great. And my mother said, how's the health insurance? And I said, still good. So just fast forward a couple years. It's now like 2012, I believe. And we had an amazing campaign on Indiegogo. Some of you might recall it. But it was about a bus monitor who got bullied by a few kids. And it was a random stranger from Canada that created a campaign to send her on vacation. They tried to raise her $5,000. It became a complete global phenomenon within a number of hours, funded in every single country. And they raised like $600,000 for this random woman. My mom calls me. We're talking like always, what did I have for dinner, whatever. And she says, Slavichka. So Ichka, I'm from Russia, Belarus, is a way to add to your name to show that I love you. So any of your names, you can just add Ichka, basically is a way of saying I love you, what saying your name. So Jonichka, right? So it's like Slavichka. At the office, the doctors and I, she's a doctor, we're all talking about this thing that happened on the internet. What's that, Mom? Well, the nurses keep talking about it too. There's this random woman that got bullied, and they gave her lots of money. And I said, well, how did that happen? She's like, well, I don't know how it happened. It happened on the internet. And I said, interesting, on the internet. So how did that happen on the internet? She's like, Slavichka, you know I don't use the internet very much, but there was a woman that got bullied, and these people just all gave her money to send her on vacation. Well, how much did she raise? Like, over $500,000. And I said, wow. She's like, maybe I should get bullied. I'm like, Mom, come on. Take it easy. I'm like, do you know how that actually happened, though? She's like, it happened on the internet. I said, it happened on Indiegogo. She's like, Slavichka, I'm talking about the woman that got bullied on the internet. I'm like, yeah, it happened on Indiegogo. Your Indiegogo? Yes. Oh. And from then on, she understood. So those are my 10 myths. My email is just slava@Indiegogo or @GoGoSlava or slavarubin@gmail. Hope all's well.
Thanks, Slava. Awesome.